Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Diane Hochman, Diane in the morning, and I'm here with my best buddy, Kathy Heath. Kathy, how are you today?
I'm terrific, Diane. Good morning.
Yay! I'm drinking some of my favorite iced tea. I'm all perky and excited here, and you know, I got a lot on my heart this morning, Kathy, and I know we were talking about some things before we got on the show, so I'm really glad you're here with me so we can hash it out and break it down for our listeners today. And first of all, guys, you are listening to the Home Business Radio Network, Positive Powered Radio, and we're excited you're here. And I just want to let you know where you can reach me. If you have ideas, suggestions, comments, criticisms, I don't want those, but you can send them anyway. You can find me on Twitter, of course, at twitter.com/Diane Hochman. Great place to just send me a quick note. And then, of course, you can look me up. My site is DianeHochman.com. It's HOCHMAN. Kathy is at Kathy Heath. She's CATHIE, Heath, like the Heath Bar.com. And definitely stop by, say hi, put in your name and email so we can send you out good stuff. That's what I like to call it, Kathy, good stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
good stuff.
So, Kathy, I want to talk today about something that I see people doing all the time in the industry, and it's inspired by a conversation. We have one of the groups that I work with, we have a secret Facebook group where we do just marketing mindset mastermind. I'm like so full of alliteration, marketing mindset mastermind. Mm-hmm. And one of the gals, we were talking about, you know, setting up goals for what we were going to get done as far as lead generation and all this other stuff. And one of the gals posted very boldly, and I'm very excited that she did, but she very boldly posted her goals for this week, what she was going to get done and what she was committing to. And I looked at it, and I kind of went, here we go. Here's the danger pit. And I said to her, with all the love in my heart, because I love working and coaching people and all that good stuff, I said, are you open for some love and coaching? And she goes, of course. And I said, have you ever hit these numbers before? And she said, no. And I said, then why the heck would you set up a goal at the beginning of the week to hit numbers that you know? Oh, no, excuse me, let me back up, Kathy. I said, have you ever hit the numbers before? And she said, no. And I said, have you ever gotten close to these numbers before? And she said, no. And I said, what's the highest number you've hit? And she told me what it was. And that's when I said, why in the world would you set yourself up for disappointment by setting a goal that probably you're not going to hit? Mm-hmm. And she kind of stopped dead in her tracks. And she was like, I didn't think about it that way. See, this is what happens, and Kath, you'll chime in, and we'll talk about this because you've been dealing with lots of people over the years. Mm-hmm. See, we get wound up, we get excited, we get off of that conference call, we get off of that webinar, or we come home from that live event, the convention, the Super Saturday, whatever it is, and we are flying high. We feel good. We've heard the success stories, and we know we can do it. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I've done this, so I'm not picking on anybody who did it. I've done it. And
we all have, Diane.
Exactly. And so I want to show you guys how to use your mind to get what you want. So we're flying high, and we instantly declare, I'm doing this. And we tend to set a goal that's really big because we heard set big goals and dream big and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. So what happens is we say it, we let it fall from our lips, we write it in our journals, we put it up on our whiteboards in our office, however you keep track of your stuff. And then what happens is we set out to do the goal. And we get so far and it becomes apparent that we're not going to hit it. And then what happens is we get very disappointed and we get into a weird cycle. And we then kind of stop dead in our tracks because we feel bad. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk today about goals. We're going to talk about mood management, Kathy, mood management. I think it's very important. Nobody teaches about that. In fact, I'm writing that down. I want to do a big webinar on that, Kathy, mood management.
Sounds good.
That's important. And we want to talk about how to use your mind to get you to go where you want to go. I'm taking notes on myself. That's pretty fresh.
Yeah.
During my radio show, I'm just taking notes. So, if you're a good learner, you're always taking notes. So I spoke to this young lady and I said, listen, why don't we set a goal that's like 10% more than your best that you've done before? Because that way, you know you can hit it. It's better than you've done before. And when you hit it, you actually get into a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can parlay that and set the next goal for the next week that's 10% more than this week, than the week that you just finished. And what happens is instead of getting into a vicious cycle of agony, failure, and defeat, we get into a vicious cycle of success.
Mm-hmm.
You see, our mind, and guys, this goes on in your life all over, whether it's dieting or whether it's house cleaning or whether it's, making the bed or we're seeing. Now, Kathy's all neat and tidy, and I'm a little not neat and tidy, probably. Truthfully, I always wish she was, like, nearby so she could just, because I knew if Kathy was coming over my house, I'd be all embarrassed, and I'd run around and clean faster. See, that's what it is. It's when people are coming. It looks great when people are coming.
That's right.
But anyway, when we tell our minds that we're going to do something, and then we don't, whether because we're just being lazy, which sometimes happens, or whether because we've set a goal that's too far out of our reach, our mind sees us, and this will sound brutal? This will sound brutal, but it's true. Our mind sees us as a liar.
Yep.
And what happens is we stop believing ourselves. And when we don't believe ourselves, we get to a point where we literally cannot move ourselves no matter how much we want to. It's terrible. We get down into a pit. It's very hard to climb out. Now, the flip side is when we set up ourselves to score. We set ourselves up to win. Our mind starts to believe that everything we say is true. And when we train it like a muscle, your mind is a muscle, guys. When you train your mind to believe the words that fall from your lips and the words that you write down, when you train your mind to believe it, then what happens is you can keep increasing the size of that goal. You can increase the dollar amounts you plan to bring in. You can increase the number of leads you plan to bring in. And as you get more and more trained like an athlete, you can make larger jumps in income and sales and so on and so forth. So I wanted you to ask yourself, and I'm sure, Kathy, you have some anecdotes you'll share in a second. I have anecdotes. I want you to ask yourself, have I been sabotaging myself? Have I been setting myself up for failure? And have I actually been training my own mind not to believe a word that I say?
Yeah.
This is powerful stuff.
It's very powerful stuff, Diane. And I'm glad that you're talking about it on your show. Until I came across this concept of, oh, my gosh, you're lying to yourself when you do this, I was in a cycle of what I would like to call constant target date readjustment, because I would set a goal, I wouldn't reach it, and I was told, well, readjust your target date, So I would readjust it, and I would set it, and I would readjust it, and set it, and readjust it. It got to the point where when I sat down to write my goal list, I really consciously thought, oh, well, it doesn't matter because I'm just going to readjust this goal date anyway. I was sitting down with this attitude of, I'm not ever going to reach these, but yet, like you said, we were told to make our goals really high, really high. And it wasn't until I started making my goals something that I could actually do that I started making progress. And I still tend to go off the scale a little bit every once in a while, because that's kind of in me. But if I pay attention and really discipline myself, and like you said, 10% more it keeps me moving forward instead of sabotaging myself into a place where I'm just sitting depressed, dejected, and not knowing what to do.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because when I look at my old journals from when I first started in the industry, it's full of, like, I had just started, and it's full of, I'm going to make this level pin rank. And I'd always give myself like 3 months to jump $200,000 a month in volume, And I look at it now and I giggle because it's like, what were you delusional, and delusional is good and it's fun and it's great, but it's depressing, and that's what I see so much. People, they just get down because they're not hitting goals that are crazy. And so what I did a call yesterday for one of the groups that I'm a leader with, and I talked about the idea, and Kathy, I don't even like the term goal setting, and we always do this, in January, we always do a call, or December or January, we talk about that because everybody's making New Year's resolutions and setting goals, and I have very strong feelings, and we'll do that on another show.
Yeah.
But, I was talking today about setting outrageous having outrageous dreams, something ridiculous, something grand. Maybe it's the top pin rank at your company, or maybe it's a certain income level or whatever, something grand. Everybody says they want to be a seven-figure income earner and so on, something grand. But then set a minuscule goal for today.
Exactly.
For today. What we're going to do today that's just a little tiny bit more than yesterday. And asking ourselves, how can I touch more people today? How can I prospect more people today? A lot of times it's using some automation and some technology that allows us to do it. But it's that large picture of where we're going and belief in that picture, that horizon that we keep our eye on as we move forward. But it's the daily actions. It's training your hands and feet to move when your mind commands them to, instead of just running your mouth. And I see it all over the internet, people who are just not making progress, and they're running around counseling everybody. And if we all would shift into these daily action plans, if we all would shift into that minuscule, it's like weightlifting. You can't go from benching 40 pounds to 400 overnight. And if you went into the gym and tried to lift too much weight, you might get the barbell up, but you're going to be in a heck of a lot of pain tomorrow.
and you could rip your tendons too. So.
Yeah, have you ever really lifted? It's funny. And sometimes, and here's what happens sometimes when you're weightlifting, you lift weights and you lift too much, and you feel okay the first day. It's the second day that'll get you. And then you're in a world of pain, and then what happens is it hurts so much, it's impossible to go back and lift what you were lifting before, so you have to stop. And then it comes to a dead halt, and now you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And I just can't encourage people enough not to do this to yourself. Love yourself. Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to have to condemn yourself for not doing the deal in a couple of days.
And you will.
And
you will.
Yeah. I want to tell a story, Kathy. Mm-hmm. And it's an industry story, and I think it's an inspirational story, and it's something that really, 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 really moved me this week. Because one of the things I like to do, I've always studied all the greats in the industries, and I love watching old tapes, videotapes. I still have a VCR cast, so I can watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I save it for, and I have old tapes of a lot of the greats, and I'm always scanning eBay for somebody who's dumping. If any of you guys have old videotapes of legends, I want them. Contact me, twitter.com/Diane Hochman. Tell me what you want for them. I want them. But, one of the greatest leaders that this industry has seen is a man named Mark Hughes, who started Herbalife in 1980. And a lot of you guys have heard of Herbalife. And Mark started the company. He was a kid, and he would always tell the story about how he started it because his mom died trying to lose weight, and he wanted to have, healthy nutrition or whatever. And so many people in this industry have been through Herbalife or heard of Herbalife, So it's kind of pretty well known. And it's a 30-some-odd-year-old company. But old tapes of Mark, you see him, and he had long hair. He's such a good-looking young guy he was, and he was a kid, and he'd sit and he'd talk about where he was going. And he wasn't particularly really well-spoken. He was kind of all over the map, but there was something about him and a twinkle in his eye that told you that this guy was going to go. Mm-hmm. And he used to talk, and you can find tapes of this. You can find tapes like back in the early days. Mark never talked about let's do 1 million or let's do 2 million or let's this. Mark always liked to talk about 5 billion, Kathy. Not 5 million.
Wow.
5 billion. And he'd be up on the stage in his long hair and his ratty little office before, the company grew crazy, talking about $5 billion.
Wow. And
one person would just have to look at him and go, the guy's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But another person looked at him, and many people who became multi-millionaires because of him, looked at him and said, I don't know, I think he's going. But the other thing that Mark always talked about when he was talking about that grandiose goal of $5 billion was that he talked about that we're going to go, and this is quoting him, he said it all the time, person by person, city by city, state by state, country by country, around the world. He didn't say we're going to go country by country. He said person by person. And his goals, his huge, grandiose, major dream sales figure was ridiculous. There's that ridiculous number or figure. But his daily activity was how can I get more people in the seats in front of the presentation today. He didn't think he was going to do 5 billion today. He thought he might do whatever it was today in order to get person by person going so that he could hit his crazy goal. And I saw this week, Kathy. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, Mark passed away in 2001, maybe it was. I don't remember which year it was, but he passed away suddenly, and as a young man. And the company went on, and the people who held his dream went on. And there was controversy, and you guys can think whatever you want, but I'm a Pollyanna, and I just think all good stuff. So I'm sure there was probably some story behind it. I don't know, but what I know is a young man that I watched on videotapes that went on and on and on about where he was going and what he was doing. This last week, Herbalife hit $5 billion in sales.
Whoa.
And Mark's dream came true, and the most powerful part of it is that it came true even without him, because he had led so hard and so strongly that he put this into the hearts of the people that worked with him, and they carried it forward after he was gone.
Wow.
And that's what this is about, guys. It's about you saying, who can I help today? Who can I give the good news of the home business industry today? Not about how much money can I make today. You want to make money. You want to make lots of money. Love to make money. But it's person by person, lead by lead, sale by sale, and having that grand horizon of a dream out there that you can keep moving towards, but never losing fact that you can't make 5,000 until you learn to make 500. You can't make 10,000 until you learn to make 5,000, and so on and so forth. And when we tell ourselves, I got to make this much before this date, I just got started and I don't really know a lot, but I got to make this much, the reason I'm here today, 12 years later, is simply because I set the daily activity at a pace that I could handle. Mm-hmm. And I set it so that I was constantly, Tony Robbins, Kathy calls it CANI, I think it is, constant and never-ending improvement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. CANI. Constant, never-ending improvement. And it's those little increments and shooting for
just $1 more in profit this month than the month before. I didn't need to go from this to this, although I like to, and sometimes you do. But what we don't want is that huge catapult forward and that huge catapult back. We don't want to set ourselves up and set our minds up to be confused. We don't want to set our minds up to not believe our words. And we want to set ourselves up so that we're celebrating on a daily basis small, incremental successes because they snowball. It's the snowball that is the magic. And it is the patience and the perseverance and the vision that carries us there. So I don't know, Kath, we got a few minutes left. Any thoughts, additions, ideas? What do you think? It's inspirational, isn't it, to hear that came true?
Absolutely. You know, I think I mentioned this to you on occasion. The very first concept that I came across, this is many years ago now, that started to turn me around and turn everything around for me was the concept of what I say when I'm talking to myself. You know, the how I talk to myself, how I work, how I discipline myself matters more than how I talk to somebody else, because the way I deal with me is going to come out when I'm talking with somebody else. Like you said, that little bit improvement every day. You know, make one more phone call today than you did yesterday. Make send one more email. Make one more contact than you did yesterday. Tell one more person about the industry, what you have to offer, about the possibilities that we have here. Just one more person today than you did yesterday, and like you said, it's going to be a snowball. But don't lie to yourself.
I think that we should do another show very soon about what to say when you're talking to yourself. I think that's a topic that's like absolutely a whole and complete show. Real quick, tell them about the book. I know we both read it, but just give them this, and then next time we can give them the whole thing and get into it. But what is the book that you liked about this topic?
Oh, that book that I read? It was called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, and it was written by Dr. Shad Helmstetter.
Yep.
It's an old. I don't even know if it's still in print, but it's a great little book.
On Amazon because I got it. It's definitely you get it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. Mm-hmm. And you guys can, if you have problems, tweet me at twitter.com/Diane Hochman and ask about it. But that's a great book, and I think we're going to do a whole show on that because I think self-talk is everything. I can give some examples of how I changed my self-talk. I'm sure you have lots of examples. I'll also, be kind of transparent and talk about the times where I was doing really good and then I let that messed up self-talk get me. It's never ending, guys, no matter how successful you become, no matter how large you become, because what happens is you have more responsibility. As your organization grows, you have more responsibility. So there's more voices and things to make you start thinking, what if I'm not doing this right, or what about that, or they don't like me, and all this other stuff. So it becomes extremely important that you've trained your mind. Mm-hmm. Today we talked about training your mind to believe what you tell it to do, okay, and believe that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. We're going to talk about how to train your mind so that you can handle talking to yourself and you blurp out. I mean, my self-talk when I got into this industry was hideous. Mm-hmm. And, we're going to get into the depths of all this type of stuff. I am a firm believer, and I'm sure, Kathy, you would agree with me, I believe it is your mind more than the stuff you do that determines your success in this industry.
Absolutely.
People can feel you guys. People can feel your energy. And if you don't believe what you're saying, they are not going to either.
That's right.
And that would be why so many people feel like, I'm doing the same thing as everybody else. I'm doing what they're telling. I remember I used to say this. I'm doing exactly what they're telling me to do. Why isn't it working?
Mm-hmm.
because I was thinking crummy thoughts while I was doing it.
That's right.
Anyway, we got a minute or so left. What's coming up on the horizon, Kath? We got over at your site. Do you have any new pieces or anything interesting going on?
I just put up a piece today, as a matter of fact, about kind of related to what we're talking about here. It has 3 steps. When you've read all the books and you've got the mentors and the coaches and the this and the that going on, but you still don't know where to start. And it's basically, how to start with you. And it actually talks about, the way you look at yourself and the things that you do to get yourself moving forward. So, it's kind of been heavy on my heart recently, too.
Do you remember what the name of the piece is, Kath? Because by the time people hear this, you might have published some other stuff.
I believe it's called Got Coaches, Mentors, and Teachers, but Don't Know Where to Start.
There you go. Okay, so guys, it's KathyHeath.com, CATHIE. I recommend you go there and read everything she puts out and listen to all her videos and stuff. She's got great stuff. And then, of course, you can always find me over at Diane Hochman, HOCHMAN.com. I'm back to doing my regular Monday night webinars. Webinars gone wild. So definitely stop by for one of those. We'll be doing those throughout the spring. I get on kicks, I do them, and then I stop for a few weeks, give myself a break, and then we start them back up again. But we're doing them. We're rocking it out. Notice that I'm saying spring. It's the end of February, but I've decided it is spring. So
Absolutely. I have flowers out my window, so it's spring.
There you go. That's how it works. And, of course, again, you can find us find me at twitter.com/Diane Hochman. Of course, on Facebook at facebook.com/Diane Hochman Training. And, guys, I have to encourage you. I've been checking out all the shows on the Home Business Radio Network. We have everything soup to nuts. We have absolutely everything you're looking for, whether you're looking for internet marketing, traditional direct response, whether you're looking for party plan training, how to prospect, how to present, everything under the sun right at your fingertips, absolutely for free. Download the iPhone or Android app. You can put it in your pocket. I love this, Kathy. It's so cool. And bring it with you, and we're adding new features all the time. And then, of course, we got some great music in between the shows, so I just put it on in the background on my computer, and I let it go, and I'm just, like, doing my little dance in my chair, and it's not pretty, but it's what I do. And that's it. So, guys, this has been the Diane in the Morning Show. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time on the Home Business Radio Network. Take care.